Ladies and gentlemen, the shit's about to hit the fan.
What does everybody want?
I mean, really, what do you do here? I mean, you're a producer. I mean, you're like the producer for RCW Spotlight. You do nothing. We're on? I mean, point exactly. Anyways, sorry about that, folks, and welcome to another episode of Heel Turn Podcast. Today we have a really special guest. We have the former RCW champion, tag team champion, the current RAW tag team champion, the Prince of Pay Dirt, the Pharaoh of Flex, the Sultan of Swing, Mr. Opportunity, Kenny Kollins. Kenny, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm all right today, and just to get something right for you, it is the Sultan of Swag.
Oh,
Even though I do like swing music, the Sultan of Swag, that's kind of what I go by. It's all the bling, all the jewelry, all the ice, it's in my name. You know who Kenny Ice Kollins. Yes, sir.
sorry about that. I was listening to Dire Straits earlier. It must have just, melded into the podcast. Sorry about that.
No problem, no problems. I like me some Dire Straits too.
There
I
you
like
go.
all types of music, so.
There you go. So, Kenny, tell me about yourself. Tell me what the fans of the Heel Turn Podcast need to know about you.
Well, they just need to know that I'm just great. I'm great at what I do. I'm great at wrestling. I'm great with music. I'm great everywhere. That's what the Prince of Pay Dirt's all about. He's just about greatness. He's about being the best at what he does. He goes after what he wants, whether it's money, whether it's a belt, whether it's whatever it is. He goes after it and he chases it, and that's just what he does because he accepts nothing less than the best. That's what the Prince of Pay Dirt's all about.
So, Kenny, tell me how did you get into wrestling?
Well, it actually started. It started as kind of. I'm gonna go way back how I got into just being a fan. My roommate actually, who's actually one of my best friends I've known since I was before 1 year old. My mom used to babysit him all the time when we were growing up, and he brought over a wrestling game one time, and it was SmackDown versus Raw 2007. And to this day, it's one of my favorite wrestling games of all time because it got me into wrestling. My dad actually came downstairs at the house I was in, and he told me he was like, "Well, you're playing wrestling," and he looked surprised, and I was like, "Yeah, this game's really cool." And so that same night, I went upstairs, and after my mom had cooked dinner, and he had wrestling on TV. It was Monday Night Raw. And it was actually John Cena versus Shawn Michaels, if anyone remembers that match. And that was the first wrestling match I remember watching. And from then I was hooked. Me and my dad watched every day from, every Sunday, every Friday nights, even when Fridays on SmackDown went to Tuesdays. And from there it led me into getting online, looking for stuff like Ring of Honor, New Japan, PWG, MLW, whatever you can name it. I just became a wrestling junkie, and me and my dad just watched everything growing up. And when I got to college, my second semester, March 3rd, 2018, my dad passed away, and that was a real low point because that point I really didn't want to look at wrestling at that time, and I pushed it to the side at the time. And then when I came home from college, that's when I there was a whole year where I was kind of depressed. I didn't really know what to do. I dropped out of college to take care of my mom, who was sick at the time, and I just didn't know what to do, so I turned on wrestling, and that kind of relit the flame. And that's where I kind of was me and my dad we kind of loved this growing up. And there's kind of a part I left out. I came home after my second semester, and my grades were kind of horrible. But my dad sat down with me. He's like, because I went to school for music at the time. He's like, is music really what you want to do? and I go like, well, I'd like to do music, but I don't really want to be a teacher. Like I don't really want to go to school for that. He's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to perform, and honestly, I want to be a professional wrestler. And I told him that, and he said, and he said to me, well, if you get your grades up next semester, then you can drop out of school, and we'll start looking for wrestling schools for you. And I said, cool. And like I said, halfway through that, he passed away, and like once I rekindled the flame coming back from college, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna chase this myself. This is something I really want to do. So I just started working out, going to the gym on the regular basis, and actually got a job at the gym I was going to at the time, Planet Fitness, and working there for a little bit. There was a guy that came in who was working with RCW at the time, and he's actually the guy that got me into it. He was like, he was talking to my boss, and I started talking to him as well. And he's like, "Well, if you're really serious about it, I know the right people. I can get your feet wet." So, and from there, he literally that night after work, I started training, took my first bumps, and it's been just a ride from there. So,
So did you train at RCW? And who trained you?
uh, I did start at RCW. I was trained by mostly by Spike St. James, starting out at RCW, um, and a little bit by Rick Lieb, here and there, mostly by Spike, but a little bit here and there by Rick. It was his garage, his ring. We were at his house, but Rick couldn't always get in the ring because he had a heart condition that he was going through at the time. But so Spike did most of my training, my fundamental training like bumps, like running ropes, like basic stuff. I ended up getting into the business and meeting up with a couple other more people that gave me some more knowledge. Like right now, I'm training under the Nomad Bricks Porter, who's been giving me a lot of really good intel because he's been around. He trained under a hybrid down in Texas, so um, he's got a lot of good knowledge right now. So I've been training under him and just honing my craft the best I can.
Have you had a chance to train outside of Ohio anywhere else like Texas?
Um, I've had a few opportunities, not gonna lie, but it's been it's meshed with um it's meshed with like some things I do at work. Outside of wrestling, I'm a painter, so I paint houses for a living. That's how I make my dough. Well, other than you know kicking butts for a living. So um, but yeah, I've I've had a few opportunities. I mean, I've gone to a few seminars outside of Ohio, like outside of Ohio. Like I'm going to one at the Worldwide Dojo on the 13th. That's gonna have Delirious and Cheeseburger at it. So I get some knowledge from them. And then there's a Bob Evans seminar in Harrisburg at Rise Wrestling that I'm going to, and just gonna get some good information from that too. So yeah, I've been a few places. I've been around a few places. I haven't really like trained like outside of Ohio, but like I've taken seminars, taken bookings. Just been really learning. That's what all this has been really for me. Just kind of a learning experience. So once I really get all the tools that I really need, I can really just push myself as far as I can go.
From the people that you've talked to and your personal experiences, what do you see the differences between training here in Ohio, training elsewhere?
Um, I'm actually gonna be a little real with you. I've seen like from what my trainer has experienced, like what he's seen in Texas, what he's seen in Colorado, um, just and from what I've seen as well. It just seems like a lot of people outside of Ohio, train a lot more, you know, vigorously and frequently. than they do here in Ohio. Like I remember first getting started, like, training in the garage at RCW and training at places like Power Slam, NCW. It was never really like regimented training. Like we never really went in and did warm ups and then did blow up drills and did like fundamentals like rolls, like running ropes, 5x5s, up and overs, fundamental stuff that we should be doing in training. It was more like we did our bumps, ran the ropes a little bit, and then the vets will get in and talk about you know their experience in the ring and stuff like that, and or more of the more experienced guys will get their ring time, and rookies like me and other guys that are trying to learn will just be kicked out on the side for however long, and just try to learn from watching them, and it's not the same. It's not the same as that, getting those reps in, getting that cardio in, and getting that strength training, that vigorous training that all the big pro wrestlers, guys like Hangman Page, guys like you know Chris Jericho, all the big guys that are in that are in the feds right now. That's the kind of training they do. Like for example, one of the guys my trainer got a had a seminar with recently, QT Marshall. He says he trains 4 days a week, and he's not even on TV that much, and that's just because he sees himself as a pro wrestler, and that's what he does. Like that's just the standard
Hmm.
for him. Like that's what I feel like training should be everywhere. And like that's the training I feel like I've been missing and that I'm getting now, but I've been missing and that I've been needing, to further my experience and you know, further my progress as a wrestler.
So we had your RAPW tag team partner Joe Zook on last earlier today actually, and we talked about his goals of obtaining tag team gold with you and RCW. Do you also have eyes on any singles championships, and which ones would that be?
Well, the Prince of Pater's always looking for gold. Wherever he can find gold, gold is the number one priority when it comes to stepping in the ring with the Prince of Pater. He doesn't accept less than the best, and the best is the gold. And the gold goes around my waist. The gold goes around my neck. The gold goes on my wrist. So the gold goes everywhere. And that doesn't just mean RAPW, that means RCW as well. That means any other promotion that I may go to in Ohio. At RAPW, I'm looking at the world title. Everyone wants the world title. I'll get it one day. But right now, the wild card title isn't looking too bad for me right now. I had my opportunity at the last event against Dior Castro, who came out on top. You know, little miscue with me and Joe Zook. That happens sometimes. But but I'll I'm sure I'll be back in the picture soon, and that title will be around my waist. You know, soon, pretty soon, pretty soon. So we'll see what happens. But as far as RCW goes, let's see. The TV title doesn't look bad. Uh,
That'd be around
the light.
Blackhawk's waist right now. Does that mean you're gunning for Blackhawk?
Well, I mean, I had my chance already. I want to let the rest of my brothers in the faction that I'm in. I want to let them get their opportunities as well. But when mine comes back around, I'll sure get my shot. Other than that, I really have my eyes on. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat. Um, I really have my eyes on that light heavyweight title. Um, I really, after losing to Spike St. James back at Twas the Fight Before Christmas too, I haven't really had a chance to get back at it, and it's really been kind of eating at me, and you know I really feel like I have the best of what the light heavyweight division has to offer, and in that toothless Alexander Crowley's been holding on to that belt for a minute, and I feel like it's time for a change. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's time for the paradigm, and the Prince of Pain, as I'm known over in that neck of the woods, because you know they they to say the least, they didn't make me a happy person over there, so I had to bring out the worst side of me, which I don't like bringing out, but it happens. But I feel like the Prince of Pain has something better to offer with that light heavyweight title. Me and the rest of the paradigm, we're trying to take over. So we're trying to show what a real group, a real wrestling group is, and we're just we're just gonna take over. Simple as that. And my goal personally is to start with that light heavyweight title.
So, with your eyes on that light heavyweight title, are you hoping for Alexander Crawley to retain, or the hairy toothpick JD Smooth to obtain that gold from Crawley this December 17th at "Twas the Fight Before Christmas 3"?
Well, first of all, he is not a hairy toothpick. He is not a hairy toothpick. And he'll tell you himself, he is not a hairy toothpick. JD Smooth is the man. And as much as I want him to win, excuse me, as much as I want him to win and beat Alexander Crowley within an inch of his life, I'd really like Alexander Crowley to retain. And if at all possible, like, JD Smooth could leave a little piece for me, because when I get my hands on Alexander Crowley, when I get my shot at that light heavyweight title, it's gonna be it's not even gonna be a match. I'm gonna steamroll my way through Alexander Crowley, like I always have. I'm gonna steamroll through him like I steamrolled through the last of the people that I've wrestled. Like, I don't have time. I don't have time for people without teeth. Like, I don't have time for it. Like, I only have time for people who have time. I'm not even gonna get to it. I'm not even gonna get into it. It's as simple as that. The Prince of Pain is gonna come out on top.
So while we're talking about the "Twas the Night Before Christmas 3", December 17th at Akron Turner's Club in Talmadge, Ohio, your leader is squaring off against Rick Lieb. Do you feel betrayed that Marcus Knight shed his merciless persona for this match, and will the Paradigm be backing the Spotlight in this match?
Well, first of all, he did not go anywhere. You see, Master Merciless always resides within Mr. Marcus Knight. He did not go anywhere. He decided to suppress it to handle his trials and tribulations with the role model Rick Lee. That's besides the point. I have no worries about Marcus Knight. Like, whether he wins or loses, like, which I'm sure he will win because he's the best of all time. Whether he wins or loses, it doesn't matter, because once Master Merciless returns, he will lead us to greatness, and he will lead us to taking over all of RCW. And that's not just a fact. That's not just a promise, that's a guarantee.
So now we're going to go into our last segment of the show. It's called the 7+1, where I'm going to hit you with 7 rapid-fire questions, and one last one where I'd like a little bit of explanation on. The first one is, what is the best wrestling nickname you have ever heard of?
The best wrestling nickname I've ever heard of? How rapid fire are these?
Taco or burger?
Taco.
Would you rather be a wrestling booker, promoter, or ref?
Booker.
The Miz or Dolph Ziggler?
Dolph Ziggler.
Hogan or Flair?
Flair.
What's your favorite tag team of all time?
Party Boys.
What's your favorite hold or move to put on somebody?
Probably an inverted figure 4.
And last but not least, if you could have the career of any wrestler, live or dead, who would it be and why?
Any career of anyone live or dead would probably be Daniel Bryan. It'd probably be Daniel Bryan. Is this the one you want a little explanation on?
Oh, absolutely.
Probably Daniel Bryan because it's kind of a story I kind of relate to. I've always been under it because it wouldn't be much different. I've always been underestimated, always been, overlooked, overshadowed, and that's just kind of been the story. Now, I'm not going to say I haven't had my time in the spotlight, but most of my life's just, been right in front of people, always so it kind of translates to me in that sense. I guess that's why I'd want to be Daniel Bryan if I had any career.
Well, Prince of Pater, Kenny Ice Kollins, it was great having you on the Heel Turn podcast. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where you're going to be in the next couple of months?
These next couple months, well, I guess this weekend I have a show in Youngstown. Me and Jones will be defending our tag titles against Black Hawk and the Mean Street Miles Jacobs. So come out there and see us beat Tom Tom and the wannabe G.I. Joe down and watch us retain our titles. And I believe that'll be it for right now. I believe we'll have an RCW show in December. That was the fight before Christmas. We will be facing me and Joseph versus. Jeez, I really got to look at the schedule. But I'm always running around. But besides that, I believe that's it. See more dates, and I'll be posted up on Facebook as they come out. So if you want to check out, or they can go to my Facebook page. It's Kenny Kollins. That's 2 Ks. They can follow me on Instagram. It is _KX2press_. They can get all my information there.
Kenny Kollins, thanks again for being on the Heel Turns podcast, and we'll see you next time.